Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm the Bishop of the Burn, Nick. And no, if you're watching on YouTube and you see me by myself, you think I'm flying solo, but I'm not. I'm not flying solo today. Today, I have listener Noah Zalesnik on the phone. How the hell you doing, Noah?
Pretty good, and you pronounce it correctly. And I'm coming to you live from the Mercury Grand Marquis of Love out here in Wisconsin.
You know, I gotta give you props for going and sitting in your car in butt-ass cold Wisconsin to get on the phone and talk to me.
Yeah, generally this time of year, it's just a question mark. Like, I think last year I was outside smoking by now. But it's been snowing all week. So gross. Yeah, we're hot boxing it today.
Gross.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have a couple of things to get to, but first let's talk about what we're smoking. You want to go first?
Sure. I'm doing the just a old standby that would be the Perdomo 10th anniversary champagne.
Good smoke.
Hands down my favorite Connecticut, and coincidentally pairs wonderfully with bourbon, which I am also drinking in the Grand Marquis of Love here, some Four Roses, which will accompany the Perdomo champagne just wonderfully.
And for the record, for any law enforcement listening, he is not moving in the car.
I am not moving, and I took my car keys and I threw them at my neighbor's house. So
well, okay. I mean, that's gonna suck tomorrow morning, but you know, for now, I guess it works. And I am smoking a newer cigar. It technically, I believe, premiered at TPE or maybe right around there, but it's the let's get it in the light. It's the H Upmann Daytrader. Now, I pulled some information off of the website. So, hand-rolled in a popular 6x54 size, the H Upmann, the banker, Daytrader Toro draws inspiration from the world of finance and banking. Back in the early 1840s, brand founder Herman Upmann was a banker prior to his foray into premium cigars. To get a modern take on this classic brand, the Daytrader Toro is made with expertly aged Nicaraguan and Dominican long fillers, deftly bunched into a hardy Nicaraguan binder. Completed with a top-quality Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, these treats will pay dividends in both flavor and complexity, with a medium-bodied tapestry of roasted nuts, leather, peppery spice, espresso, and charred wood. I don't know about you, but I got to be real careful if the wood's getting charred, you know. That's
yeah, I mean, that's a hell of a write-up. I'm sold. Sounds
right?
Delightful.
I was going to say, it sounds pretty good. So let's go ahead and get these bad boys cut. And the official cutting is brought to you by Dan the Man Ponder over there at Riverman Cigar Company of Crestwood, Missouri. And guys, it's that time of year when the PCA stuff starts to roll in. It's going to be a little bit later throughout the year. You're going to have a little bit now. You're going to have a little bit in May, a little bit in, June, blah, blah, blah. But no, there is some stuff already hitting stores. So if you're wanting to find out what Dan the Man Ponder over at Riverman Cigar Company ordered from all of his reps and got in for the shelves, you need to give him a call or stop by. If you're in the St. Louis area, stop by and check it out. But if you're not, Dan does mail order, so you can give him a call and you can find out what he's got, and then he can put a nice shipment of cigars together for you right away. It's Dan the Man Ponder, Riverman Cigar Company, Crestwood, Missouri, and it's time to go ahead and cut. Oh, I nuked myself. Cut the cigar. I forgot. I was somewhere prior to this, and I cut a cigar, and I didn't have anywhere to dump the schmuckus. So I left it in the lighter or the cutter, thinking that I'll get it later. Pff, I didn't get it later. I just got it all over my pants, is what I did. But
you got to clear the schmuckus.
I know.
Schmuckus.
I got schmuckus all over my pants. Anyway, so give this guy a cut.
It sounds like me in high school.
I mean, everybody has those dreams, Noah. It's okay.
That's what my mom told me.
She was doing it to make you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. All right. Give this guy a cold draw here. Oh, that's an interesting flavor. So I'm getting like tart cherry and spice, like peppery spice, off the retro hail here, or the cold draw.
Cold draw. That is interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like it. All right, I'm firing up here, and as we do, so before we get into the business of the day, it's been a minute since you've been on, Noah. I think the last time that you were on, you and I were talking about who died.
That does sound familiar,
Yep.
and I don't have our list handy, but we've had a couple surprises this year, and Mr. Carter's still alive.
Yeah, Mr. Carter's still alive, but yet Lou Gossett Jr. leaves us, which I'll be honest, I don't think either one of us called Lou Gossett Jr.
I'll be honest, I thought he was dead already.
I kind of did too.
Out of sight, out of mind, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, and also I feel bad. My initial reaction when you told me that he died, I was like, all I could remember him from was like Jaws 3.
That's why we have IMDb.
I know.
Apps, Nicholas.
I had no freaking idea that the man not only was the first black actor to win a was it a supporting actor Oscar?
Supporting actor. I believe, don't quote me on this, but Sidney Poitier was the first black lead. So I believe, supporting actor.
So he's the first supporting actor. Yeah. And then on top of that, he won an Emmy for his role in Roots.
Yeah, see, that's where I knew him from.
See, it blanked out of my mind. All I remembered him from was like all the like kind of cheesy action movies and shit that he did in the 80s.
I just love that you remember Jaws 3 at all. So
Jaws 3 is my okay, all right. We're going to be talking a lot of movies tonight, guys. But for a split second here, I just want to say Jaws, the original Jaws, is the best Jaws. Okay?
That's not a debate. That's
without
a question.
But in terms of guilty pleasure, Jaws 3 is fucking amazing because it's Jaws in SeaWorld and it's Jaws in SeaWorld in 3D, but it's the cheesy 3D where they're like, here, would you like a cigar? And as I'm doing this, I'm doing the motion. So if you're on YouTube, you can see what it's like, you know, it's the worst 3D bullshit. Like the scene when the shark is coming at the big glass view screen and Lou Gossett Jr. standing there watching the shark come at the screen. It's the worst freaking 3D ever, and it's even worse when you watch it in 2D, which is the only way you can watch it now. But oh my god, I love that movie so much.
So it's so funny that you reference that because I'm not sure if Trey Mack believes in a simulation, but that sounds like something he'd believe in. But for proof that we might be in a simulation, that just came up randomly on my reels today, that exact scene you're talking about.
You're serious.
Yeah. So, and I hadn't thought of Jaws 3 in probably 20 years. So
the universe is telling you, Noah, you have to watch Jaws 3D.
Yeah. And before we get into movies, can we just say, what is it with like the third movie in a franchise that always sucks?
Okay, now I have a counter to that.
Okay.
Thor Ragnarok was the third movie in the Thor movies, and it was far superior than the first and second. I
can't even speak to that. I haven't seen that. So.
Okay, all right.
I'll give you that one.
That one I'll say. But
I'll give you that one and a swirly for your on the tab. I'm gonna put a swirly on the tab.
Now, what about Rocky 3? What's your thoughts on Rocky 3?
Oh, okay. Here we go. So we're gonna rank the Rockies. All right. First one, obviously the best one.
By far.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna go probably.
You're gonna say it, aren't you?
I'm gonna go 4.
I was gonna say 4. 4 has to be the second one.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna go
break 2. You.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna go 2.
Okay.
Then I'm gonna go 3.
Well, we don't even need to mention 5. 5 is just,
I would put
5's the worst.
5, but I would put Creed 2, and Balboa before 5.
Oh, by far. I think even
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone puts 5 at the very end of all that.
Yeah, like, yeah, that's a whole nother podcast, Nick. That's a whole nother
Well, no, you threw out that the third one typically sucks. I'm just
Yeah,
looking for, other things.
just because you referenced Jaws, right?
Yeah,
so maybe
yeah.
it made me think of
Although, go ahead. Made you think of what?
Godfather, Poltergeist, Back to the Future,
Now, wait. I did like Back to the
Terminator.
Future 3.
Not compared to the other two.
True. Okay. All
It's
right.
the weakest. It's
It is the weakest of the
franchise.
three.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm gonna give a hot take for a minute. Then you're saying the third one is the weakest of the series. I'm gonna give a hot take.
We're talking Back to the Future.
Oh, I'm gonna give a hot take here. I'm gonna give a hot take and say, Return of the Jedi is like not a great movie.
I've always been more of an Empire Strikes Back fan.
By far. But Return of the Jedi, that could have been cool. But Lucas, he had that moment. He's like, okay, do I do what could be cool, or do I do what's going to sell a lot of toys? And he did what sold a lot of toys, and he gave us Ewoks instead of a planet full of Wookiees. And I think a planet full of Wookiees would have been better.
Here's a hot take. As long as we're doing hot takes here,
Why not?
Temple of Doom, my favorite Indiana Jones.
What?
Yeah.
That is a hot take.
That is a hot take. The third one,
the one with Connery.
I would say the weakest had it not been for that abortion of a film, The Crystal Skull.
Okay, all right, I'll give you that.
The new one,
I haven't watched it yet.
The new one, actually, I think it's better than. Obviously, it's better than Crystal Skull, but I think it's even better than the Last Crusade.
Seriously.
Yeah. So.
Oh man, I like Last Crusade. I would say Last Crusade's my second favorite behind Raiders.
Why are you shitting on Temple of Doom?
Because Temple of Doom, the only thing that Temple of Doom did is it made it okay to call Little Asian Boy Short Round.
Yeah, I was doing that years before.
But seriously, who was the woman in Temple?
Wasn't it didn't Spielberg wasn't he dating her or something? That's why she
was the most annoying
woman
she was pretty annoying. Ever.
That opening scene though with the poison, man, that was edge of your seat shit.
Look, it's Indiana Jones. I mean, you're gonna get some cool stuff in the movies, and I mean the whole Kalima, and he's ripping the dude's heart out and everything. No, I mean it's cool, but it's not anywhere near Raiders and I know you're shitting on Last Crusade, but Last Crusade was a good movie.
Raiders is a good movie.
Raiders is good. Although when you really think about Raiders for a minute, what happened at the end of Raiders would have happened if Indiana Jones had been involved or not.
True.
You know? Because all it took, the Nazis were going to open up the Ark no matter what, and they would have gotten melted no matter what. So what's the difference between Indy being there and Indy being back at the museum just chilling out? You know?
I wonder how many people wanted to become an archaeologist because of Indiana Jones, and they're like, this is nothing like what
shit. It's all of the treasure hunts and everything like that. That's all done. We've stopped raiding tombs years ago. You know?
I read a statistic once that the year after Top Gun was released, Air Force
recruitment
enlistment,
skyrocketed.
But the funniest thing about that is it's about the Navy. It's about the Navy pilots. It's not Air Force at all.
But no, the military actually partnered with or worked with them because they knew it was going to happen, and it did. And then again, I'd be curious to know what the enlistment statistics. Oh God, I can't talk. Enlistment statistics are following Maverick. Oh God. Sorry.
Well, there's probably a way to find out somewhere, buried in the depths of the internet somewhere.
Somewhere, I would think. So,
I tell you what, Mr. Miller, we're going on Tangentville here. Let's get to the task at hand.
I know. Yes.
First of all, I need to ask.
Oh God.
Is there anybody joining you in that tent of love
tonight?
Yeah, that episode with Trey Mac.
No, I'm solo in here.
it should have been called Two Guys, One Tent, and it was a very romantic podcast.
Well, Trey said a line in that, and I need. I'm struggling to remember it here. But I had somebody text me about it, and they quoted it, and they said that it was the funniest freaking thing. I'm digging back, seeing if I can find it. Dear God, when was that?
Was it? It was a. It was like I want to say it was like the pod before last. Is that?
Yeah, I know. I'm like looking, and I'm trying to figure out where it is. I don't know. Never mind.
We need to get a third guy in the tent. And instead of like 3 men in a tub, we're gonna do like 3 men in a tent.
Oh, dude, 3 people in this tent would be extraordinarily tight.
You need to get a smaller man.
The line that was quoted back to me was, "A bird in the bush is worth 2 dipshits in a tent."
Oh,
yeah, because remember we had that bird that was making noise in the bush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, so,
and I would like to publicly call out Trey here.
Oh,
not like that. I'm just saying. I'm really hoping we can put some pressure on him via the pulpit here and really get his ass down to Pulpit Fest.
Oh, I know.
And
I know. He dropped the Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival bomb on me. Like when he was in town, I'm like, you got to be fucking. It's like we picked those. Like you were in on the conversation to pick those names. Yeah.
So we got to publicly humiliate him, / pressure him to get him there. I would really like to meet him.
The Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival is 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
Pulpit Fest is 3 days. Now, granted, the day that the Rocky Mountain Cigar Festival is literally the middle day. So, but he could be in Palm Coast for a few days and do Friday, and then take a red eye from Florida to Colorado. Oh God!
I mean,
he's gonna kick my ass.
I say we got to get a public campaign going. Get on the parishioners page. Just pressure him to come in because I'm telling you, if Pulaski's there and Trey Mack is there,
right. It's just nothing but hilarity that will ensue.
The world can't handle it.
I know. So, real quick, before we get into what you and I are going to discuss, I want to kind of go over some of the cigars that were announced at PCA and showcased, and kind of, you and I can go back and forth and talk about, what we're looking forward to, what we're interested in.
Sounds like a great idea. It's always good to talk about cigars in a cigar podcast.
You would think, yes. So, Aganorsa Leaf has a new one called the Arsenio that's coming, and now it's not Arsenio Hall. It's based off of one of their blenders, right? Blenders, rollers. It was Yes. And so anyway, I'm looking forward to that. I like anything Aganorsa Leaf puts out.
I was gonna second that.
Yeah.
Aganorsa does not turn out bad products.
And then additionally, you have there was the stuff from Aladino that we already have covered on the show here a couple different times.
I am I don't know if you would call it, I don't know if you would call it jealousy or FOMO, but I'm definitely hurting that you got to try that stuff and I haven't because
what the Project Lomas?
Well, didn't you try the Fumino?
I have not. No. Trey did not have samples, so I have not tried either the Fuminoche or the Cameroon Reserva yet. Those are both definitely high on my list to try, but I have not. Now, Fuminoche is out in the wild. That, theoretically, if there's a shop near you that bought it, you should be able to find it. Or, you can reach out to various shops like...
Dan the Man.
I was going to say, I would assume Dan the Man. I haven't been by there to check, but I would assume Dan the Man probably has it. So, Fuminoche.
Literally, Aladino could not make a bad product if they tried.
Mm-hmm.
They could roll up newspaper and age it, and I would smoke it.
Well, yeah, they got to age it.
Mm-hmm.
And then what else here? What have you got? What while I'm looking at the list, what have you got?
I don't have the list in front of me, but one particular cigar that I've been really looking forward to that was I believe it was released at the last trade show was the Encore Black. And the reason for that is
From EP Creo.
From EP Creo, yes.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is, so I'm not sure how familiar you are with EP Creo.
Oh, I like the Encore and the Pledge and the Allegiance and yeah.
So I smoked tons, and I mean tons of La Historia, especially in the Churchill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that is like you're smoking like 3 cigars. Like the flavor changes and the nuances of that is out of this world.
Awesome.
And the Pledge, so the La Historia is my favorite. The Pledge had a lot of potential, but it wasn't. I didn't feel as nuanced. It was just kind of more strength forward.
Okay.
Especially in the smaller sizes.
Yeah.
And don't quote me on this, but I believe when it won Cigar of the Year, I think it got like a record score or something.
It was either that one or the Encore.
Yeah, I want to say the Pledge got like the highest score ever for a rating.
That could be.
Yeah. And it's a good cigar.
Yeah.
But it's a little just too strength forward and not nuanced enough. Whereas the Encore is the opposite. So it's very balanced, very nuanced, but a little too light, right?
See, I thought the Allegiance was the lightest one of the 3 or 4. I guess if you count the last.
Yeah, I mean, the Allegiance is pretty light too. But what I'm hoping, I guess, is that ideally the Encore Black takes the nuance and balance of the Encore coupled with the strength of the Pledge.
Okay.
And if that is the case, that's a fun. I mean, that would be a
home run
cigar of the year.
Yeah,
cigar of the year type thing. I can't speak to it because I haven't smoked it, but when I saw that was released, I was like, oh, perfect. This is going to be a great cigar.
Very cool. Cool.
That's probably the one cigar that was released that I'm probably the most excited for.
Okay. Now I will say I did smoke on the. Was it the previous episode? I can't keep track. I think it was the previous one. The blackened S84. And
yes,
again, and just to recap that, it was great.
I was literally listening to the podcast at work, and I was like, yes, I was like a black person in that church, right? Like in the Baptist church. I was like, preach, because that other one they did, the original release they did,
M81.
It was just way too strong. It's like those hot sauces, like with the funny names, like shit your pants hot sauce or whatever. That they're not concerned about flavor; they're just concerned about strength, right?
Yeah.
And I just, and what's funny, I don't know if you knew this, but the black and they originally started with a whiskey.
I knew that there was a whiskey involved in it, and everything. Yeah.
And so the whiskey is. Don't quote me on this, but I want to say it's aged in like brandy barrels or something.
Okay.
And so it's not strong at all. In fact, it's too sweet for me and my personal palate.
Okay.
So it's kind of weird that they have like a really light whiskey and there's this overpowering, like, was it a triple Maduro? Is that what it is?
It was a triple Maduro, yeah.
And it was just off-putting, and I'm a medium.
And I'll be honest, if I'm remembering right, and again, don't quote me on this because I'm doing this off the top of my head. I feel like I heard from a lot of different places that they didn't pair well.
No,
that it was one of those things where like they were both branded up, but I don't think they paired well.
No, it wouldn't because the cigar is going to take all the flavor away from the whiskey. Cause that's how strong it is. It's not like this. Champagne Perdomo and this bourbon I have here, or it's a just beautiful balance. It's just one's going to overpower the other. So I'm excited. I'm actually excited for the one you had talked about with the shade because that sounds like that would be good. Like
it's nice and smooth but it does have some extra strength from the binder and filler. But that wrapper. It didn't lend a lot to the flavor, I don't feel, but it did kind of tamp down that like oomph, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that was helpful. So, what's your next one?
I saw that the JC Newman had a 2024 release of the Leroy Neiman.
Yes,
Mm-hmm. So I'm excited for that. I haven't tried any of the Leroy Neiman,
I
but
haven't either.
I am being a diehard boxing fan, very familiar with his work.
Okay,
So he painted Ali a lot. I remember in the 70s. I've seen a lot of his work. I didn't even know he was a cigar smoker. So
there you go.
if you can combine like two interests of your life into one, so
You
and
know,
and
I
JC Newman again, another company that just can't make a bad product. I smoke a lot of their stuff, and
you
I
know
saw you were smoking the Yagua the other day, and
I was.
that's probably one of my favorites from their company.
I will say I don't know what your travel plans are for Pulpit Fest and all that, but I do think that Ybor City's maybe a 3.5 hour drive from Palm Coast.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
It's a
And
long day. It's basically
I,
drive out, do it, and drive back. But I'm just
that
saying.
sounds perfect. That sounds perfect, and I would totally do that. However, I want to remain married. So,
Nah, I get it.
yeah,
I get it.
yeah. So
Um,
no, Ash and Ale will be my my
well,
outing. My
maybe
outings.
if Ken's listening to this, Ken, if you're ever over in Tampa, and you maybe come across some of these J.C. Newman, the Leroy Neiman, right? Is I'm going?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's correct.
Leroy
That's
Neiman
correct.
cigars. Maybe just snaggle some, and I know a guy that might buy them from you.
Hmm.
So
And as long as we're mentioning Ash and Ale, I'd like to give a shout out. So some of the best pairings I've ever had in my life, honestly, not just because I'm smoking it right now, it would be the bourbon and the champagne.
okay.
But but
Oh God,
I
they're
would.
coming for you.
They heard.
They were like, "There's a son of a bitch in his car with bourbon."
Yeah, there's a. Where are his keys? Uh,
This will be the first DUI on the show.
yeah, uh, I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Especially that one episode I was on where
Yeah, yeah.
the man who should not be named.
With the tequila. Yeah.
Yeah, with the tequila. Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways, what I was saying is, so I had listened to the episode with Ken, and he had talked about this beer he had, and
Yes.
for the life of me, I can't remember the name.
Chimay.
Okay, you did that perfect.
I think it was the Chimay Blue.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
I
Okay.
feel like it
yes,
was the
perfect.
Chimay Blue.
Yes.
They have different colored labels. And the one that he has there, I feel like it's the
was
blue
the blue.
one. Yeah.
Okay. So unbeknownst to me, so I think I listened to that podcast. Let's say it was a Friday podcast, right?
Yeah.
And I listened to the podcast, and that Saturday, my buddy came over and we watched boxing. And he brought that same beer.
Son of a bitch.
And I have never had a better beer.
Dude, it was really good.
And much like that La Historia I was telling you about,
Yeah.
it's like the flavor changes. It's like, okay, I got chocolate. Okay, now I'm halfway through. Now I got this. And then I'm on the bottom third. Now I get this. And pairing that with a La Historia, I mean, out of this world. So I plan on doing that. I plan on doing a lot of that in Palm Coast. Yeah.
I feel like that one is brewed by monks.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I can confirm that.
There you go. There you go. So another one I'm looking forward to, and there's a joke about this, the Padron's 60th anniversary. And, I don't know what it costs. Neither did Dave Garofalo, but apparently he went in heavy on it, from what I'm told. He said it on the show.
I would just like to say, bold men make bold decisions.
This is true. Hopefully it's not like a 6-figure bill that comes his way for
it very well might be.
It might.
I think Padron is maybe the only company that you could maybe do that with.
Yeah, because let's be real, he's going to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
An anniversary, limited Padron. He'll sell them. He'll sell them.
Yeah, I mean that's the one. I literally think the one company you could do that with.
Yeah.
You could buy a cigar not knowing the price. I think Padron literally might be the only company.
Probably. What's your next one?
I don't have the list here, so I'm just going off of memory here. But the new McAuliffe Blue.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's anything like the black,
yeah, I haven't smoked it yet, but I do like the black.
Yeah, if it's anything, I know it's in the similar price range.
Yeah.
So so that's good. But yeah, if it's anything like the black, I mean, yeah, it's a home run. And even if it's not, even if it sucks, what are you out? $8?
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think it's gonna suck.
No, I would bet big on that one. They might even, I think that's another candidate maybe for Cigar of the Year.
Possibly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, sight unseen. I haven't smoked it, but
now Villiger, they announced a couple of size extensions to the 1888 Nicaragua. I just smoked one of those in the Toro size the other day while doing my deliveries.
Mm-hmm.
I love that cigar so much. So let's be. I think they're doing a Gordo in that. And I can't remember the other size, maybe a Lancero, but the I'm not particularly into the idea of it. I don't really. I'm not a 6x60 smoker, but I think it's great that they're putting it out because there are a lot of 6x60 smokers, and it's a great cigar that now can be enjoyed by those kind of guys.
Yeah, you got to check those boxes,
Exactly. I mean, because let's be real. These days, you got to offer a Robusto, you got to offer a Toro. From there, it's kind of like, okay, where do you go? But I think the 6x60 is the next logical place.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. And I've smoked that cigar in a smaller size. Great cigar.
Mm-hmm.
Great cigar.
Mm-hmm.
And then another shout out to Pulpit Fest here. Mr. Renee is going to be there.
Renee will be there.
So
another
another reason for any people listening from the Florida area
one of the nicest guys I've met in the industry is Renee.
I've heard nothing but good things.
Yep. Super awesome guy. And then coming from West Tampa Tobacco, you have the Circle of Life.
This is new to me. I haven't heard about this one.
It's I think he's like working with other blenders. It's kind of a passion project kind of deal. And then I think he's also got another Attic series coming, which, for those that remember, the last Attic series became the Red. So
yeah, I was going to say the Attic series has basically become the experimental series, right?
Yeah, I believe that's kind of the plan. So
and quick favorite West Tampa.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot. I think I still have to go with the black. I like the Red. I've smoked quite a few of the Red, actually, since the Parishioners announced it as their top cigar of 2023. But I think I just dig the black just a little bit more. Just a little bit.
I would go with the Red, but yeah, the black is a close second.
I mean, exactly. It's like I could say the black today, and you could ask me this again on Monday, and it could be the Red. So, yeah. Who knows? Now, I don't have any more cigars. Do you have any more cigars?
Nothing's coming to mind. Not to put you in the spot again, back to back, but
you will.
I will.
Okay.
Of that list, if you had to pick one, what are you most excited to try?
You rat bastard. Of that list,
I told you,
am I most excited to try?
Now, keep in mind, one of those is a sponsor of your show. Actually, two of those
Two of them are.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm sitting here, and I'm thinking to myself, and as much as I love the Renee and the fine folks at Villiger, I have the 1888 Nicaraguan, the size that I prefer, so I don't really need the line extensions there.
Correct.
So, to be honest, it's kind of a fight between the Padron 60th and the Cameroon Reserva from Aladino.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Two totally different cigars, I would imagine, too.
No, for sure. You couldn't pick two different cigars.
No. So it's kind of hard for me to say which one I'm like most. The Padron, I'm guessing, is probably going to be just another badass Padron that, I'm not saying that all their cigars taste the same, but, there's a familiarity amongst them to where when you smoke a Padron, you're like, yep, this is a Padron,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm going to guess that it's going to be the same kind of thing. So just purely from a experimental, this is something new, this is something totally different, kind of mindset, I think I'd have to go with that Cameroon Reserva. But I'd say that the Padron 60th and also the Fumanoche. I'm curious about the Fumanoche. Those are high on my list.
Yeah, I mean, solid choices. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe this is the first Cameroon Puro on the market.
According to Trey Mac.
Personally, I'm not a big Cameroon fan.
Yeah.
But I would definitely try it. The Fumanocha is exciting to me because it's kind of a higher end Aladino.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious how that, performs, because the Corojo Reserve, I want to say, is their highest ticket item before that.
Yes.
Now that's a phenomenal cigar.
Now I think the Fumanoche price wise actually comes in lower than the Corojo Reserva. But in terms of what it is they keep billing it as that smooth, elegant, but kind of strong cigar that kind of capture night. It's that one that kind of comes in and is just nice and bold and strong, but is also smooth and elegant. So I think it'll be interesting to try it.
And I would like to kind of take a little hot take here too. And this goes kind of back to when Trey Mac was on. I don't know if it was the last episode or the episode before where Trey Mac
he's been
was
on a lot here lately.
Yeah.
He's helped me out a lot is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I smoke tons of the Aladino Maduro, and I find that it is probably the most underrated cigar they have.
I don't think that's a hot take at all. I think they know it, and I think they're bringing some attention, because that is, we didn't mention that one. We only mentioned the Fumanoche and the Cameroon,
But there's a size extension, yeah.
But they did that size extension. They did the Gordo in the Maduro, and they did it in the round too.
Yeah, which excites me. So I'll be definitely excited about trying that, because I love the Maduro. I mean,
it's a good cigar.
Yeah, and then another hot take too, and the Fumanocha. So I guess this is kind of where the hot take comes from. So I don't know what you do personally, but for me, cigar smoking, like I start stronger.
Oh.
And I end lighter. In other words, so like I do like a heavier Maduro, because I find it pairs better with like a coffee.
Yeah.
So I'll do that in the morning, and then I usually wind down at night with like a champagne, like I'm doing now, or like a Habano or something with something lighter. Yeah. So it's like so the whole Fumanocha thing was like, it's like more
it's your breakfast cigar.
Yeah. That's the way I operate. I know a lot of it's kind of reverse to a lot of the people are kind of the opposite of that, but I think a lot of that has to come down to people are worried about blowing their palate.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, if you're smoking 5 cigars or under, I don't think your palate's in risk of being blown.
Probably not.
So yeah, especially if you're drinking enough, throughout the day too, and eating enough. But yeah, my hot take is that I start stronger and lighter. So
okay, all right, well,
but yeah,
so yeah, you can wake up with the Fumanoche then.
Yeah. So generally, I start with the heavier thing. It seems to pair better with coffee and stuff like that. And so for me, those are. I'm excited for a lot of the cigars coming out. Encore Black and probably the Fumanoche for me. And like you said with the Padron, I mean,
It's going to be a badass Padron. You just know
It's going to be. I am curious at the price point, but
yeah, that's going to be the thing that makes me decide whether or not I'm doing it.
I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm just guessing. Maybe it's because I like themes, but I'm going to say it averages around $60.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a tough buy. A $60 smoke. That's going to be a real tough buy.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough buy for repeat buys. I think you're going to get the initial curiosity buy, but follow up buys. I mean, because even $10, to go down to the 50th. I mean,
yeah,
$10 is big when you're talking between 50 and 60.
It is. It definitely is. So,
when you're talking celebratory. So
I mean, and that's the thing. It would be a celebratory cigar at that point.
I mean, I'd like to meet the guy. I'd like to hang out with the guy where that's not a celebratory cigar.
No shit.
Yeah.
But there are those guys out there, and that's kind of who they're hitting with that price point, I suppose. So
I mean, they're just cashing in on the name.
Well,
Padron, you don't need to announce price. You know it's going to sell. It's.
I mean, I'll even go so far as to say this. One that we didn't mention in the list was the collaboration between Padron and Fuente. And, that comes out, I think I said $178 a cigar.
When you can find it is the thing.
Well, and that's the thing. It's going to be impossible to find. But
it's an asterisk.
Be that as it may, if I did find it, it was available, and I was staring it in the face, and it was $180, would I pull the trigger? And I can't do it.
Well, I can't. You can't do it, and you're a bachelor. I definitely can't do it.
No, and that's the thing. I just can't. I can't justify it because here's the thing: if I bought it, even if let's say I bought it, I don't think I could smoke it.
You know what that does? It puts so much pressure on the cigar.
Oh, it's pressure it will never live up to.
Yeah,
that cigar will never ever live up to the price point.
How could it?
Exactly. I mean, no cigar is going to be worth $180. I'm sorry.
And that's the best case scenario. What happens if it fucking blows your mind? Now you're addicted to a $180 cigar.
That you can't ever freaking get.
Yeah.
That a box of 40 is what I say, like $7,000 something dollars or some bullshit.
Fucking like three mortgages.
Yeah, I mean it's unreal. It's absolutely unreal. And you know what? It might be a cool project, but there's a part of me that is really disappointed that they chose to take something that could be really cool like that and make it so exclusive and prohibitive to the average cigar smoker that enjoys their brands. But
here's my take. Here's my take on it. Do it's a historical thing. You get the two families come on and do 5 boxes and do it for charity or something. Make
it so super limited that we don't even really consider that we're ever going to be able to get it. But they did it just limited enough that there's going to be those people that are like, I actually have the ability to get one, and now I have to decide if I can afford it. And I just, I don't know. I'm with you. 5 boxes at charity. They could have sold those for, $500,000 a piece, and it would have been great. But
I can't envision a scenario where that is an enjoyable experience.
No, because the whole time I'm smoking it, I'm going to be thinking about the fact that I literally just took $180 and lit it on fire.
Yeah, and not to mention that, okay, I'm about to smoke a $180 cigar. I want to be you want to be an absolute like a hermit almost. You don't want any distraction. You want everything just perfect.
Yeah. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want any noise. I mean,
so focus just on the cigar.
100% just on the cigar.
Yeah.
I need my health to be 100% that day. Yeah. I mean, every little stupid thing.
Well, and here's what ends up happening is that becomes work, right? And that's the opposite of what cigars are. They're supposed to be relaxation, and so that's the opposite effect of what a cigar is supposed to do. It's supposed to relax you, not give you anxiety.
I remember when that project was announced, and I didn't consider the fact that they were going to make it this expensive. And I remember, and I had envisioned all sorts of different ways this could go. and it was exciting. And the further and further we got to reality, the more and more disappointed I was in it. And so, and when the price point was announced, I was like, fuck, that's it. That's the end of that. So,
yeah, I think that was a lot of people's reactions, honestly.
For sure. I'll tell you what I am not disappointed in. It's a nice, good basic cigar with good flavors and nice construction. Is the H Upmann Daytrader here. I'm not quite halfway through it, and it's smoking wonderfully. And it's a nice little smoke. I mean, it's not smoke. It's not like a little smokestack when I'm not puffing on it, but the smoke production when I am is wonderful. And it's got like some spice and earthiness and nuttiness and whatnot to the smoking experience. I'm digging it.
Yeah, the champagne and the Epicure size. I mean, it's just a standby for me. That's my regular rotation. It's just my favorite Connecticut. It just
there is
everything I want it to be.
That's awesome.
Did you use retro hail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that hit. Funny thing about this Daytrader. So I heard on the Cigar Authority episode, I think it was the one Dan Davidson was on while Dave was out of PCA, and they were talking about this cigar, and it was, I guess, originally supposed to be like the H Upmann like crypto, and like the day that they got the marketing like kind of done or whatever, like that's when the cryptocurrency market like decided to crash.
I did hear that.
so then they like pivoted and turned it into the Daytrader. So
that's funny.
I think it's interesting.
It's funny, but not for him.
Well, no, I think it's interesting from a marketing perspective that, it's like they look at like stuff like that and have to pivot and deal with it. It's just
I mean, I think the best example of that is probably to quote the Authority again, the whole hammer and sickle debacle.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Well, now let's go ahead and do this. It's time for the Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report, brought to you by
Villiger.
Villiger Cigars, one of the leading cigar and cigarello manufacturers in the world, founded in 1888 and still family-owned and operated. Head over to VilligerCigars.com and check the store locator to find a shop near you that carries them. We guarantee that Villiger Cigars will be a wonderful addition to your humidor and cigar rotation. All right, so we have a hell of a Villiger report tonight. So,
okay, we're doing it this way. Okay,
yeah, we're gonna do it this way. So rather than doing the Villiger report as we normally do, Noah and I have Noah wanted to discuss gangster movies.
All right, so I'm gonna introduce this segment a little bit, Nicholas.
Feel free.
Okay. So, as we can agree, and as any man with fucking any sort of common sense and idea of what quality is, we can recognize that Sopranos is the greatest show of all time.
It is, indeed.
I mean, it's a distant second. Like, to find the number two, I mean, it's quite a bit below Sopranos.
I was actually just talking with a guy today about The Wire, and I said The Wire was amazing in seasons 1 through 3. Seasons 4 and 5, it fell off. Yeah,
to get a show from beginning to end, and I mean, don't talk to me about the ending. That's a whole nother show. But as quality a show from every aspect where you analyze a show, whether it be material, acting, consistency, whatever. Sopranos, number one, bar none. I don't even want to hear. I don't even want to hear a debate about it. To be honest with you,
I agree.
And so, with that being said, we can both agree on that. We both are men of similar taste. So when I send you reels or something of like obscure Sopranos references, I know you're going to get it. I know you're going to get it because you're a degenerate like me, and from what I understand, your base is the same way. I've not met him, but where we'll watch Sopranos repeatedly. Like sure. I'm probably 5 times through all the way beginning to end.
Yep.
So, with that being said, because we can agree that The Sopranos is the greatest show of all time, we've established a quality of taste. And from that, I thought it would be a fun little experiment to do kind of a little segue where we could rank our top 10, one, being the best, 10 being the not as best.
But
Gangster,
it's still our top 10 favorite.
top 10 favorite gangster films of all time, as kind of a branch off The Sopranos. So that I think should be apparently the Villiger segment.
That is the Villiger segment this episode.
Okay.
So, as the guest, would you like to go first with your number 10?
So we're going descending?
I'm going descending, yes. I'm going from 10 to 1.
Okay.
Because why do you start out with the best and then end with what you think is the worst?
That
or not
fair.
The worst, but you're the least favorite of your top 10.
Yeah, that is fair. However, and we should probably let the listeners know we have no idea what each other's lists are.
No, we don't. So there may be some arguing here.
But I would imagine the top 5 is pretty similar. Just the order might be construed.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to lie. There's one in my top 5 that you might be like, what the fuck,
And we should probably let them know too. We didn't really talk about guidelines or anything. We just said come up with a list of your top 10 best gangster films.
Yeah.
Okay. And I got to be honest. When we're talking about doing this podcast, we're talking about new cigars and gangster films.
Yeah.
I was thinking. Now this is an episode David Garofalo would love.
Okay.
Yeah, like this seems right up his alley. Like gangster films,
and cigars. I mean,
yeah. And I got to be honest, from somebody who's done this plenty of times.
Yeah.
You want to talk about good pairings? Watching a gangster film and smoking a cigar. Have to forget about it.
Well, yeah, because you're smoking with buddies because they're all smoking cigars typically.
A lot of the times, yeah.
Yep.
A lot of the time.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so number 10, I'm going to start as the guest here.
Go for it.
Angels with Dirty Faces. So it's kind of obscure, but it's got Humphrey Bogart and it's got James Cagney, who I love. So at number 10, great film. Kind of overlooked a lot of times, but number 10 for me, Angels with Dirty Faces for number 10.
Okay. My number 10, King of New York, starring Christopher Walken as Frank White, who is a New York City drug lord on the rebound after his release from Sing Sing.
Okay.
I love
is that the one?
Love me some Christopher Walken.
I love me some Christopher Walken. Is that the one where he did the dance in that one, or is that confusing films here?
Possibly, I can't remember that.
Okay,
but
well, that's obscure. Obscure.
I mean,
I mean, it fits the criteria, I guess, right?
I mean, it's a gangster movie.
Yeah. All right. So I guess I'll go number 9. The Irishman.
Okay, that did not make my list.
Okay, now, all right. So I should probably kind of preface my list with saying, far and away, without comparison, Robert De Niro is my favorite actor of all time.
Okay.
I literally own every one of his films. And I know what you're saying, like, oh, yeah, you own, No, I mean, I own, like
every one of his films.
if he was in a foreign film and did a cameo, I fucking own it, right?
Yeah.
And then I can hear people like your dad or my dad in my ear being like, he's a fucking whiny liberal, right? How could you like him, right?
Yeah.
And to me, my take on that is, I think that makes him a better actor because, like, could you don't picture? So you have this whiny liberal in real life, right?
Yeah.
And then like all of his characters are the complete opposite. So like it just shows like how good of an actor is. Like you're telling me Jack Burns from Meet the Parents is a liberal? No.
This is fair.
Yeah. It shows his range.
Okay.
But yeah, number 9, Irishman. So Scorsese's got this thing lately. And to reference another De Niro movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. So he's in this thing, like, he's always been known, Scorsese, for kind of lengthy films.
Yeah.
But he's really leaned into that lately with like Irishman, Killers of the Flower Moon. We're talking like 3.5 hour movie.
Oh yeah, he's
Three and a
going long with it. Yeah.
That's too fucking long. Like you could have shaved off an hour and a half for Killers of the Flower Moon, and I think you would have got De Niro probably the best supporting actor.
You know, I actually saw when The Irishman came out, there was an article that I found where they told you at what like timestamp
Yes,
to stop
okay.
so that you could watch it as
Perfect.
episodes.
Yes, perfect. So the first time I watched it straight on through. The second time, I found that article and watched it as a miniseries.
Yeah.
And it does make the film better. And there is a lot of kind of like nuance you find in the film, kind of like I don't want to kind of give anything away for any of the listeners that haven't seen it yet, but there's kind of like some I don't know, for lack of a better word, artistic things they do that you don't notice the first time through.
Yeah.
And
well, when a movie's that long, your brain does relax.
Yes, and I also want to say too that the part of the kind of lower rating on top of the length is the CGI available at the time.
Yeah, to de-age
was not
the
what
character.
It should be. Yeah, was not what it should be, right?
Yeah,
and to reference The Sopranos again, if you remember one of the early I want to say whatever season that Tony's mom dies.
Oh, yeah. Was that 3 or 4?
Yeah, one of those.
Wow.
So the reason that she died is because the actress Nancy Mercia died in real life.
Yeah.
So it was unexpected, and if you watch one of those scenes, they weren't ready for that, so they had to like superimpose her face and use like dialogue from previous episodes.
Yeah.
And you're watching that like, what the fuck is this? Like it was like a horror movie, like, and the technology was not there, and that's kind of how I felt while watching The Irishman the first time. It's like, no, I see what you're trying to do. It's just, no, we're not there.
Yeah.
So had the technology been better and had the movie been shorter, it would be higher in my list. But if anybody is listening to this and hasn't watched it, I would recommend kind of viewing it as a miniseries in like 3 or 4 parts, because runtime literally is like 3.5 hours, and it does not. No movie needs to be that long.
That's a long commitment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's going to be the first of possibly one of my controversial ones for you.
Okay.
Number 9. I'm going with a classic, but I'm going with Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
I didn't know. I got a little loose with the criteria of gangster films.
Yes, I was gonna say. I mean, we didn't. For the listeners, we didn't. Talk about these prior. We didn't outline criteria. Me personally, Pulp Fiction, great film. I would not categorize it as a gangster film,
dude.
But
why not? You've got Marcellus Wallace. He's got Vincent Vega and Jules, John Travolta and Samuel L. They're hitmen, going out and doing their thing. I mean, like, you've got the the wife, Mia,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the thing, man, Uma Thurman, you've got, there's a lot to it. And Butch, Bruce Willis's boxer, I mean, the mob was trying to get him to throw the fight,
Valid, yeah.
So, I mean, there's mafia-ish kind of stuff within it.
Yeah, I guess I'd never viewed the Pulp Fiction as a gangster film, but again, kind of loose the term. I mean, I didn't say mobster films, I said gangster films. So, I mean, I guess that fits, yeah.
I mean,
it's a great film. I mean, it's a straight up great film.
You're gonna hate my list.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, here's the thing. There's a couple of movies that probably would make my list had I seen them, and there's I can think of 2 right off the top of my head that I'm not going to name right now, but I'll talk about them when we're done. That just remind me that had I seen them, they may very well be on my list. but for whatever reason, I missed them when they came out, and then I never circled back, and they're on my list to see, but I just haven't seen them yet.
Well, I mean, not only do you have reason to see it for this, but I mean, it could be a future Villiger segment. So
This is true.
mm-hmm.
All right, so what's your number 8?
Number 8, I'm going to go with Analyze This.
Oh, look at you! You went outside the box a little bit. That's a comedy.
I mean, it's a comedy.
It's a comedy.
All right. So, interesting thing about Analyze This. Obviously, again, referencing De Niro, you'll see a lot of this in the list. But that came out the same year as The Sopranos. Okay.
Okay.
And the premise of the movie is about a mobster seeking a shrink, and how controversial and all the repercussions that could be.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's the same plot as Sopranos.
Basically,
really.
Yeah.
And they came out in the same year, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what are the odds of that?
That is kind of interesting.
When they both came out,
think about it.
Yeah, when they both came out in 1999. Had Analyze This came out a year or two earlier, it probably would have been higher on the list, because you could have maybe made the argument that, influenced The Sopranos.
Yeah.
But I mean, star-studded. De Niro's great. Billy Crystal's good in that film. It's a comedy, but it's yeah,
for sure.
It's a good movie, and they had a sequel, which is also pretty good. Did not make my list, but Analyze That is also pretty good.
Okay. This is gonna be another one I'm gonna have to maybe defend. And it's been a minute since I've watched it, so I'm like kind of rehashing it in my head. But I love this movie. My number 8 is The Usual Suspects.
Okay.
Dude, I know he got all kinds of trouble with the Me Too, and I know he turned out to be kind of crazy. But Kevin Spacey as Kent was just unreal in that movie.
Well, I mean, the film itself is star-studded. I mean,
there's so many great actors in that movie, and then
correct.
The I would say relatively known twist at the end, but I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. It's just I mean, it's just such a good movie, and it's done so well, and I love that movie. So
again, a little controversial. I would not probably put that in the gangster category, but I see your argument there, so I'll let it slide.
I feel like the rest, maybe my next one. My next one might be another one that's like borderline, like me, but I'll roll with it. So
I kind of feel like our top 5 would be like most people's top 5. Just
the order
probably will be fucked up a little bit, but
there's probably one movie that's not on this list that I think you're going to be like, what the fuck is that not being on your list for? Okay, so what's your number 7?
My number 7 is, to reference Cagney again, Public Enemy. And you're going to say probably...
I like that you're respecting the oldies.
I love Cagney. I'm a big Cagney fan, but I never really got into Edward G. Robinson.
Yeah.
He just seemed too soft for me. I don't know.
Okay.
But, big Cagney fan. And you're going to probably say, no, I'm not that familiar with Public Enemy. Well, I'm going to say, Nicholas, you are familiar with Public Enemy. Because there's an episode of Sopranos that references Public Enemy.
Uh-huh.
So Public Enemy... you see where I'm going with this?
The one with his mom, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So much like Cagney, Tony Soprano, James Gandolfini's got a lot of so there's stuff going on with his mom, and so he watches Public Enemy, and one of the more famous scenes in Public Enemy is he takes his grapefruit and he shoves it in this girl's mouth, right? Because she won't shut up. And so Tony Soprano was laughing. Well, the end of the film, spoiler alert, is fucking 80 years enough to see a film?
Yeah, I think you can spoil a Cagney film.
Yeah. The movie ends with them delivering Cagney's dead body to his mom.
Which is fucking brutal, by the way.
Yeah, it is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
And all the shit that's going on with Tony Soprano and his mom, he watches that, and he just starts bawling when he's watching that scene.
Well, yeah, because the mom in the Public Enemy is just breaking down.
Yeah. and he's kind of wishing, like, oh my God, would my mom react that way? My mom's
Yeah.
trying to kill me, like, and it's just very, I mean, that correlation aside, it's still a great film.
Okay.
So a good enough film to make. Was it number 7?
Number 7.
Okay.
All right, so my number 7. This is probably the last of the truly controversial ones, but I don't really think it's controversial, but we'll see. It's not really gangster, but more criminal. I'm going with Bonnie and Clyde, starring Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway.
Okay. I don't think it's that controversial.
Have you seen this movie?
I have.
Dude, it's one of my favorite Warren Beatty movies. I mean,
Warren Beatty's a great actor.
This is such a great movie because the thing about it is, they're criminals, obviously, but it portrayed them in such a way that they weren't like, I mean, it showcased that they were menaces to society, but also it like showed that they were kind of like heroes to like some people too. And, by the end of it, when, again, they're real life people, I don't think it's not a spoiler to say that, they met a very violent end.
A demise, if you will.
Yes. But by the end, when that happens, you're like truly upset about it. It's like this sucks. Like you watch your heroes get gunned down by the lawmen, and it's like, this sucks, But no, I really, really dug Bonnie and Clyde.
That's a solid pick. I don't know. I honestly, I find that one to be less controversial than Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what's your number 6?
My number 6 is A Bronx Tale.
Now we get to the one that's not on my list.
Okay, and A Bronx Tale, as this being the cigar podcast, actually has kind of parallels because they have launched, I believe, there's 2 lines now of A Bronx Tale cigars.
Yes, it's that. What's it? Chaz
Palminteri.
Yeah.
So this movie, for anybody who hasn't seen it, is loosely based in Chaz Palminteri's upbringing, his childhood, and it was originally a Broadway play. And then
that I did not know.
Yeah, and then HBO, back in the day when HBO used to make movies.
Yeah.
Okay. They made it into a movie, and De Niro made his directorial debut in this film. So he was actually the director of A Bronx Tale.
Interesting.
Yeah, and A Bronx Tale is a great film. It's a gangster film, but honestly, it's like a love story. So, like, if you have a girlfriend or a wife and you want to watch a gangster film, but she's not really into gangster films, this is a good one for her. It's a lot of females like this movie. It's it's a love story as much as it is a gangster film.
Gotcha. All right.
It's a great film. Great film.
Okay. So my number 6, and now that I'm looking at it, this might be the last of the controversial ones. I don't know. Number 6, Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman, starring Matthew McConaughey as Mickey Pearson. He gets rich by building a highly profitable marijuana empire in London, and he's looking to cash out of the business, and you've got a whole lot of different, plots and schemes and all kinds of stuff going on. It's got Colin Farrell's in it. It's got the one brother from Succession in it. The blonde dude from Sons of Anarchy's in it. Hugh Grant's in it. Dude, if you haven't watched The Gentleman, it's an amazing movie. And there's a show, there's a series that I think is on Netflix now, that it's my understanding that like spins off of the movie. So now the movie used to be on Netflix. Now I don't know where it's available right now. You may have to rent it someplace because, that's the problem with streaming services. And this is part of why I don't like streaming services is, you get used to something being in one place and then all of a sudden whatever contract expires and now you can't find that movie you wanted. Whereas if you just bought the damn DVD, you'd have it and you could watch it whenever you wanted. But anyway, but yes, The Gentleman is a great movie.
I that's the first one on your list I don't think I've seen. Sounds intriguing.
You got to see it.
Sounds that sounds good. Sounds star-studded.
Dude, it's star-studded and it's got like just a real cool vibe to it. It's just a really, really good movie. So, all right. Now we're into the top 5 here.
Okay, so I based on your list, I don't want to say we're going to have the same 5, but I think these are probably
We
for
might.
anybody
We might.
for anybody making the list. I think these are probably
There's probably one that I have that I don't know if you do, and
okay.
there might be one that you have that I don't.
Okay, all right. Well, let's start it out. Number 5, I find is a very underrated film, great film, Donnie Brasco.
Okay, there's one I don't have on my list.
Okay, and Donnie Brasco kind of hits home for me personally because
I will say I thought about it. Not to interrupt, I thought about it, but I don't celebrate rats. So I don't put rats on my list. And anyway, be that as it may.
So Donnie Brasco came out when I was like, I don't know, sophomore in high school, freshman in high school. Mm-hmm. And it hit such a chord with me that I would fucking wear a leather jacket to school every day. I would slick my hair back, man. Permanent damage to my hair, I think, to this day, because I was voted best hair in high school. I would not be voted best hair anywhere now.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Nice.
But yeah, a fantastic film. Johnny Depp is my favorite Johnny Depp film. I think he does great. It's for those that don't know, it's about the undercover agent Joe Pistone. It's about his infiltration in the mob, and it's just Al Pacino's in it. Michael Madsen's in it. It's just a great, really well done film. It's a Michael Mann film. It's just a great film. Is it a wolf in the background? What is it?
No, it's the 10 p.m. siren here in Freiburg. It's letting all the kids know that the curfew is in effect now, but I don't know. Anyway, they do it every day at noon and 10. It's so weird.
No excuse to break curfew in that time.
I know, right? They're going to come and bust some heads. No, I like Donnie Brasco. It's a great movie. Like you said, star-studded cast. Michael Mann, great director. He directed Heat, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Dude, that's a great movie. Didn't make my list. I thought about it, but I'm like, it's not
that's
quite.
That's a gangster film.
It wasn't quite. It's more bank rob, but I didn't do it. But fuck, Heat is a great movie. But anyway, so is Donnie Brasco, to the point. Yeah. Okay, so my number 5 is Casino.
Okay.
It's the rise and fall of the mafia gambling scene in Las Vegas in the 70s and 80s. Robert De Niro playing a mob-appointed casino boss whose troubled trajectory symbolizes the sunset years of the mafia's grip on the city. And, great movie. Michelle Pfeiffer is the wife in that, correct?
Sharon Stone.
Sharon Stone, sorry. Was Michelle Pfeiffer, what was she in?
She's been in a couple of De Niro movies. She was in a De Niro movie called The Family. She was in a couple of other films. But,
you're right, though. It's Sharon Stone, now that you say that. But yeah. But no, Casino is a great movie. And, dude, and the way that Joe Pesci gets it in that movie, oh, my God.
Well, I'm going to reserve commentary on this because
okay, all right, okay. I was going to say, never mind.
I think we're gonna have a lot of that.
We're going to have a little carryover here. So, okay, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is the original Godfather.
Oh shit! Number 4.
Number 4. Not to kind of give away anybody or anything further along my list, but it's the second best film of the trilogy, but just an absolute, fucking iconic film. Just fucking the fucking pinnacle of filmmaking. If on top of watching the film, I would also recommend watching the TV show The Offer. I don't know if you've ever seen this.
I haven't. It's on my list. I haven't gotten to it yet, but yes.
So I have watched The Godfather multiple times, but then I watched The Offer. And then I rewatched The Godfather, and it kind of gives you a new appreciation because you're like, oh, God, it's a new. So I would recommend both of those things. But
so,
yes.
Did you watch The Godfather 3, the remixed for Coda or whatever it is?
Yes. So for those listening that are not familiar, they recently released a couple of years ago now, I suppose, but the Godfather in chronological order. So if you're familiar with the second film, it actually takes place before the first film, but they kind of intertwine all three films to where it's in chronological order, and it is easier to follow, but I think it's less. I think it kind of takes away a little bit of the originality, so it's easier to follow.
Yeah.
And if somebody is like holding out that have never seen The Godfather, like a gay Rod, Mr. Jonathan, maybe introduce them to that formula, like the first three, just so it's easier to follow. But I think it's better just cinematically the original way. But
gotcha. Okay. So, did you have any more on The Godfather that you wish to share?
Not at this time.
Okay. So, my number 4 is The Untouchables, starring Robert De Niro and Kevin Costner and Sean Connery. Dude, I love that movie. There's so many quotable lines in that. I mean, if they bring a knife, or if they stab, the one about stab. Bring a knife, you bring a gun. If they send yours to the hospital, you send one of theirs to the morgue. I mean, dude, it is just an awesome movie, all about Elliot Ness, played by Kevin Costner, taking on Robert De Niro, who plays Al Capone, at the height of Capone's power in Chicago, and through Prohibition and everything else. And it's just such a great movie. I really like that movie.
Yes, did not make my list. It is a great film, and I think the reason it didn't make my list is I'm just not a big Costner fan. Like I thought he was okay in Field of Dreams, but it's just like, if you would have replaced Costner with almost anybody, I think that film would have been so much better.
Field of Dreams is not my favorite one of his, to be honest. Untouchables is definitely high up there. I'm not the biggest fan of the Wild West Costner, and everybody seems to really dig, Dances with Wolves was a big one for him, and and he really seems to love the Wild West. I mean, obviously Yellowstone has been big for Costner, but dude, I'm all about the Untouchables.
The Untouchables as itself is a good film, and one of my best friends, it's one of his favorite films. De Niro gained 30 pounds for that film. That fucking monologue scene with a baseball bat, great. I watched some of the. I'm kind of a nerd like this, so I watched kind of behind the scenes and commentary.
Yeah,
like I want to say almost half of that movie's budget was De Niro's ridiculous salary he requested for that film. It's a good film. I just really wish they could replace Costner with pretty much anybody, and I think that would have been. It's just a much better film.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it is a good film, especially if you're a Costner fan. I'm just biased that I'm not. So.
Well, that's fair. Okay, so number 3.
Number 3 for me is Goodfellas.
Haha. Okay, so is mine. So we can basically just talk Goodfellas now.
Okay, yeah, just a fantastic film. As far as watchability, I think it has probably the most watchability film of any mine on this list. Like I've probably seen this movie more than any one on my list. It's one of those movies where you're just flipping through the channels anytime, anywhere in the middle of the movie you find yourself, you can just stop and continue. It's just a great film.
It's a great movie.
And then especially people that are of the younger generation, and you're trying to introduce them to mob movies. Like I've heard people trying to try to introduce The Godfather 2. They find it too boring and stuff. Goodfellas is just a lot more, for lack of a better term, watchable.
It's a little quicker paced, even though it's a decently length movie. It is a little quicker paced, and it's a little more Hollywood, I would say, than The Godfather.
I would use the term cinematic.
There you go.
And to that point, like Scorsese did so many like captivating things. That whole Steadicam shot through the Copacabana.
Yeah.
That whole end scene where Ray Liotta stands up and starts walking towards the camera in the courtroom. It's just, I can't say enough good things about the Goodfellas. It's just a fantastic film.
Right there with you. That's why it was my number 3. Which means you could probably guess my top 2, but
probably
in what order?
Yes. So So number 2 for me is The Godfather Part 2.
It's also my number 2.
Yeah, and for me personally, like I mentioned earlier, it's my De Niro bias. He's is in Godfather 2. He won Best Supporting Actor for Godfather 2. And the whole going back to Italy thing, I think it's just a fantastic film. I prefer it obviously over the original Godfather. It's just a great film. Some iconic scenes. Just I can't say enough good things about Godfather 2.
Okay. I will reserve some comment.
Okay.
So number 1.
Well, what's your number 2?
Godfather 2.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
Right. So number 1 for me, and again, this is probably not going to make a lot of people's number 1, and I understand that it's probably a lot based on De Niro bias. Casino is number 1 for me.
Really?
And the reason I say that is it kind of has the watchability factor of Goodfellas.
Yeah.
But De Niro is a main actor in that film, where he's kind of a supporting actor in Goodfellas. So it's kind of added bias for me, and just visually, like costume changes. I think De Niro goes through over 100 costume changes in that film. It's just visually so stunning, visually so enthralling. I'm a big fan. Mob Run Vegas.
I was going to say the Mob Run Vegas thing is definitely captivating and interesting.
Yeah. And the book that it's based on was great too. I read the book, and it's just, I think it's a home run, star-studded, of course, and just top to bottom, just a great visually. Just watching that film and just all the colors and just the action, and me being a huge De Niro fan, he's like in every scene, and just the cinematic nature of the film. I realize it's not going to be a lot of people's top 1, but honestly, the top 5 is probably interchangeable.
I was going to say it kind of gets kind of weird there, yeah.
Yeah, but for me, just Casino, it's my. Let's put it this way: it's my second favorite film overall of all time. My favorite film of all time is Raging Bull.
Okay,
but yeah, just Casino. It checks all the boxes for me.
Gotcha. So, my top 1 was the original Godfather. And I'll admit, when putting this list together, I originally had Godfather 1 and 2 paired because I think they pair perfectly, and I think, to be honest, that's the way you need to watch them. That's just my opinion. I think it's one of those things that you can kind of leave 3 out if you need to.
Yeah.
But part 1 and part 2, man, it's two sides of the same coin. They just go together well. The thing is, and the reason that 2 became number 2 instead of number 1, or above number 1, is there are aspects of 2 that you have to have watched the first one to understand. Michael being the head of the family and kind of how that took place, and and the fact that it was such a change for Michael in the first one. He didn't want to be part of the family business, and it was only after the his brother was killed. Correct. It was when was it Sonny? Yeah, when Sonny was killed that he got into it and everything, and just like he didn't want to be a part, and then they drug him in, and he had to deal with it all, and you learn. But then in the second one, you learn all about Vito and his past and everything, and it's just such a wonder. They correspond so wonderfully, and they interweave amongst each other so well that it's hard. When I asked you, are we separating them, and you're like, yeah, I'm separating them. I'm like, shit, okay.
They're 2 very different films, but yes, they do intertwine very well.
It was just one of those things. I had to rank them somehow. So I figured, all right, we'll just go ahead and rank the first one first and the second one second, But
James Caan, great in that film.
Oh yeah.
So good, and that just kind of points to how good of an actor James Caan is. I mean, such a just tough ass playing Sonny, and then you look at this. This is the same guy that was in Elf. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It's just
So
it's just such quality acting amongst everybody in those
mm,
movies. And anyway, so
I,
yeah,
I think number one for most people probably would be the Godfather. I would chance to
probably
say I would probably chance to say either Godfather or Goodfellas. Probably would be
Goodfellas. I
both
was
of
gonna
those
say
three.
that's probably the other one.
Mm,
Now you know what I'm happy is not on your list because
mm,
I was waiting. I was wondering, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? Because I personally am not a fan of this movie, and it's popular. I don't care for Scarface.
yeah, I knew that with the preamble. I knew that's what you were going to say, Scarface. Yeah, and that
Yes,
was, I kind of thought that was going to make your list too, because I mean, technically, it is a gangster film, I guess.
it ish. Yeah,
Yeah, not a mobster film, but kind of a gangster film.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely overrated.
It is so
Definitely,
overrated.
it got a cult following too, and I don't know, like there's certain aspects of the film like I like and I can get behind it. I think Pacino did great. But I'm not a huge fan.
Not a
A buddy of mine, that's his favorite film. I know a lot of people that's their favorite film, but like, yeah, if I was to sum up Scarface in one word, I would say overrated.
So the two movies that I was referencing earlier that I missed, didn't see them, and they're on my list to eventually watch, but I haven't seen them yet, and so I left them off. Um, so Gangs of New York.
Okay, I mean, honestly, so Scorsese did a thing where like he left De Niro and then started like doing everything with DiCaprio.
Uh huh.
And all of the DiCaprio movies fucking sucked. Gangs of New York sucked. Fucking Aviator sucked, and it was a lot of the same reason. It was just too long, too fucking boring.
Okay.
Shutter Island, however, great film, but that's like a whole different genre. But
Yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking Gangs of New York, you can skip that one.
Okay.
Personally.
All right. Well, that's good to know. And The Departed.
Departed better. The Departed is definitely better than the Gangs of New York, but Scorsese got nominated or won Best Director for that film.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like just like, hey, we overlooked you all these other years. Like this is
So this is the one we'll give you.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, I mean, Departed is a good film. It's worth watching. Another star-studded film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say watch Departed, skip fucking Gangs of New York.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. Now, my only other one that was kind of an honorable mention, and the only reason I left it off, well, not the only reason. There's there were other reasons, namely, I couldn't remember this movie. I know I've seen it, but for the life of me, I truly can't remember it, so I can't say if I liked it or not. But when I was kind of doing some Googling to get some descriptions, of the movies and that sort of thing, was Once Upon a Time in America.
Yes. Too long of a movie.
I remember it being very, very long. Yes.
Yeah. So it's got James Woods. It's got De Niro. It basically is supposed to. The movie is supposed to take place over like 50 years. So you're seeing like the whole from like kids to adults.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's too drawn out for me. But yeah, it was honorable mention's a good place for that film. Yeah.
There you go.
A lot of people don't realize if you were to ask somebody, name all the movies with De Niro and Pesci. A lot of people would leave out movies like Once Upon a Time in America, and technically, he's in a Bronx Tale too. Pesci is. He's in the very first scene and the very last scene.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a little trivia for you there.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this was fun. I liked this.
It was fun. Yeah, it was very. Hopefully, the listeners find it as much fun. But yeah, it was enjoyable hearing people's different perspective of where you could be fans of the same genre and just kind of view things in a different kind of scope sometimes.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's like you were saying. There's some that are very like, drawn out epic kind of things, like, when you take the first two Godfathers and that sort of thing. And then there's some that are a little bit more cinematic. And then there are some, that I would give the label of more Hollywood. Like I mentioned, The Untouchables, Bonnie and Clyde,
right.
The Gentleman, fantastic movie, but man,
that's one from your list. I'm gonna have to watch.
It's got some flair to it, man. I mean, it's a Guy Ritchie flick, so and it starts off like right off with a bang. So, it's a great movie, but it's a wide variety of different movies here. And then you brought the classics, so
yeah, I'm a big Taney fan, but
okay.
You know what, Villiger? This is like 3 Villiger segments, really.
Well, they got their money's worth out of this one. So.
Yeah, they sure did.
There we go. All right, so I'm going to try something here real quick. I'm going to try this, and I'm going to see if it works. So I'm playing. I've got Pinky's Fun Fact. I've got it on my phone. Okay. I don't know if it'll play since I've also got you on the phone. So we're going to see how this works.
Try it out. If it doesn't work, I have a backup fun fact for you.
Okay. All right.
Hey, it's your girl Pinky. Ready for a fun fact? A man in India owns the record for the most fingers and toes on a human. This human calculator must find it impossible to buy gloves and socks because he has 28 working digits. This has been Pinky, and I'll be back next time with more fun facts.
Okay. I think it played. Did you hear it, though?
I did not hear anything.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering. I didn't know if you would be able to hear it. Her fun fact was there's a guy in India that holds the record for the most extra digits because he has 28 total digits.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so,
Dalsim.
There you go. I get that reference.
Yes, you would.
Oh, my gosh. Well, why don't we now talk about My Monthly Cigars? It's a premium cigar subscription service where you can get a box of cigars sent to your door every month. I get the Robusto box, which is 4 cigars for $30. It also comes in the El Presidente, which is 8 cigars for $50. And if you use our offer code PULPIT, PULPIT, get you free shipping on the first box. And while you're over there, make sure you check out the Fucking Good Coffee because it comes in a variety of different blends. And while you're also over there, if you're interested in information about the Fucking Good cigar and when you can pre-order that, make sure you sign up for the little newsletter thing, and Nick will send that information to you right away. It's mymonthlycigars.com.
Yeah, speaking of new cigars coming out, the Fucking Good cigar.
Fucking Good cigar.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep. And then in terms of the socials, I'm available on Instagram at The Cigar Pulpit. I'm on Facebook where we have the Pulpit Parishioners group. There's Twitter/X. YouTube where you can watch this, and we've talked a little bit about Pulpit Fest tonight. If you're interested in joining us at Palm Coast, Florida, in Palm Coast, Florida, at the Ash and Ale Lounge, that is August 23rd through the 25th. Tickets are complimentary. You just got to go to Eventbrite, BRITE.com, and sign up so that we can have a head count. So head on over there, sign up for that, and join us in Florida in August for Pulpit Fest 2024.
It should be a great time. I'm looking forward to it personally.
I think it's going to be just a hoot. It's going to be a hoot.
I'm telling you what, I'm looking forward to anything above 45 degrees right now.
I can imagine. So I'm right there with you.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from guests, I've got a couple ideas I'm kicking around for some fun activities. I'm trying to put together an actual legitimate agenda for some of this. So
an itinerary, if you will.
Stuff to do other than just sit around, smoke, and look at each other. It's like we're gonna have some stuff. I mean, this might be the unveiling of depending on how many things. This might be the unveiling of the Pulpit Olympics. I don't know.
Okay.
And I mean, one look at me, you can tell it's not going to be like a legit triathlon or anything like that. Okay?
We're talking like potato sack races or pickle contests. What are we doing?
Maybe, I don't know. Things are up in the air. I'm having a talk going to have a conversation with Ken next week, and so we're going to have a brainstorming fest. But I've got a few ideas already that I think will be fun.
Pillow fights. Put me down for a pillow fight.
There, you know, I recently learned that apparently when women get together privately, they don't just automatically break out in a naked pillow fight.
I dispute that.
I mean, maybe, but this is what I've been told. Now, maybe they're telling me that, you know, to keep the secret. I don't know.
I was going to say that they're trying to keep their secrets because the world I live in, when you get 3 or more females in a room, it's sexy pillow fights.
It's sexy pillow fight time. But anyway. Well, Noah, do you have anything else that you want to bring to the cause here?
Oh, yeah. I think that's just about it. I would just like to reiterate Pulp Fest is going to be a good time. Anybody in the Florida, Georgia area, I think should come down. Should be
for sure
a star-studded event. A lot of familiar voices will be there.
Yep, it's going to be a good time. People are going to enjoy it. So
yes.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out tonight, man. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, it was my pleasure. It was my pleasure.
And we got to talk gangster movies, which is fun.
Any excuse to drink bourbon, smoke a cigar, and talk gangster films is a win in my book. Buddy.
Wonderful. Final thoughts on your cigar. I know, you know, it's the champagne. Most people know it, but it's always good to recap.
It's regular rotation for me. It's I'm good probably for about 3 to 5 boxes a year.
Nice.
In the Epicure size, it's buttered bread. It's not like most Connecticut's. It has a bite. There's quite a bit of nicotine in there, so the slow smoke for sure. It pairs well with bourbon. Just a great cigar.
Yeah,
it's the casino of cigars. Let's put it that
way. There you go. It's one of those ones that I hear people sometimes say, like, "Oh, new smoker, they should try the champagne."
No, they should not.
I don't agree with that assessment. I truly don't agree with it. It's a Connecticut, but man, it's a Connecticut with power behind it.
A new cigar smoker probably should be introduced to a Connecticut, not that Connecticut.
Yes, not that Connecticut. And then I truly enjoyed the Daytrader. I finished it just a little bit ago. Had some very nice flavor profiles to it. Like I said, it had the nuttiness and the earthiness and the spice and all that. The spice kind of ramped up a little bit in the back half of the final third, and no, it was a really good cigar. I did enjoy the H Upmann Daytrader. That was a nice, pleasant experience. So
I'll have to look for that one. Sounds good.
There you go. Well, guys, this has been another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm Nick.
This is Noah.
Everybody stay safe and stay smoky. You know, I was going to try and get cute and find one of those Looney Tunes cartoons with Muggsy and going after Bugs Bunny, you know, and put that on my list, but I figured that would be a little bit much.
It could be like an honorable mention.
I mean, I do enjoy the ones with him going after Bugs Bunny. It's fun.
Yeah. You could even do Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I mean, that's technically, right? I mean, if Pulp Fiction's a gangster film, Who Framed Roger Rabbit's a gangster film?
Maybe. You know, and I guess that's the thing. Maybe that's the thing. We were bleeding gangster and noir.
I mean, it's possible.
You know, maybe that's where, you know, I went more with Pulp Fiction. But I mean, honestly, I guess I could have done Reservoir Dogs. That probably would have been a much more gangster film than Pulp Fiction. I just like Pulp Fiction better than Reservoir Dogs. So
it's a better film. Yeah. But yes, Reservoir Dogs fits the theme better. But honestly, fucking 10s, it's not the easiest task to come up with 10. Like
no, it wasn't. I actually was like, oh, there's tons of gangster movies out there, and there probably are. But man, when you look, now I did just hear about one, and this is quite the Easter egg here. I'm throwing out more movies. I did just hear about one that I added to my list. It's on Peacock. I haven't seen it yet. And for all I know, I'm gonna list it and you're gonna tell me, oh, that sucked. But it came out in 2015 called Legend, and it's got Tom Hardy, and it's about the Cray brothers over in London.
Doesn't ring a bell.
And the Cray brothers, they were real dudes, and they were big time gangsters over in London back in the 60s. And I saw another movie about the Cray brothers back in a British film class that I took in college, and that's where I learned about them. But then when I found out about Legend, I was like, oh, a newer movie about these guys. I'll watch that. So I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my to watch list.
Interesting.
So, there you go. All right, guys, we'll take it easy.
I'll talk to you later.